Hello, everyone. In today's video, we dive into the latest article by Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, published in Arab News. Titled is Saudi Arabia and the Balance of Power. Before we begin, let me introduce the author, Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, a Saudi businessman, academic, and thought leader. As an adjunct professor at the University of Arizona and advisor, American University of Beirut, Faculty of Food and Agricultural Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, founder of Golden Grass Inc., he brings a rare blend of vision, expertise, and real-world insight to every article he writes. Dr. Al-Rasheed is also a distinguished author. His upcoming book, Saudi Arabia, Transformation, Uncertainty, and Sustainability, explores the kingdom's evolving economic and social landscape amid global change, offering deep insights into development, resilience, and long-term sustainability. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today we are covering a topic that feels, well, honestly, it feels pretty heavy.
Yeah, it really does. Glad to be here with you to unpack it all.
Thanks. And when I say heavy, I don't just mean complicated, though it is definitely that. I mean heavy in the sense that the ground is actively shifting under our feet.
Right.
We are looking at this concept that just came out of the Munich Security Conference this month, February 2026. And the term they use to describe the current state of the world isn't conflict. It's not tension.
No, they put with something much more visceral.
Exactly. They called it wrecking ball politics.
Wrecking ball politics. It's an incredibly vivid image, isn't it? Because usually, you read these diplomatic reports and they use dry, safe language like volatility or realignment or something.
Hey, something polished.
Yeah, but a wrecking ball implies active, intentional destruction. Someone is swinging the ball.
It sounds like a disaster movie script, but this is the actual geopolitical assessment of where we are right now. The report explicitly describes the global order as being under destruction.
Under destruction, wow.
Yeah, and that's the starting point for our deep dive today. We are essentially living through the funeral, really, of the post-1945 unipolar world.
The world where the U.S. set the rules and everyone else largely followed along.
Precisely. That era is fracturing. So the question we are asking you, the listener, today is, if the old house is being demolished, who is picking up the bricks to build the new one?
And specifically, we are looking at a region that has traditionally been viewed as, a chessboard for other powers to play on.
Yeah.
We're asking if the Arab and Islamic world can stop being the board and actually become a player.
A major player. And to answer that, we're leaning heavily on a primary source that just dropped today, February 25th, 2026. It's a really insightful article titled Saudi Arabia and the Balance of Power
by Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed.
That's the one.
And Dr. Al-Rasheed isn't just offering a commentary here. He is proposing a massive structural shift. He argues that amidst this wrecking ball chaos, there is a unique opening for the Arab and Islamic world to become an independent geopolitical pole.
A pole. We hear that word a lot, right? Multipolarity.
We do, yeah.
But let's be clear on the mission for this deep dive. We want to understand if this is just wistful thinking or if they actually have the assets, the hard and soft power to pull it off. Because if a third pole emerges from the Middle East, that changes everything for you and me.
Everything from energy prices to global security architecture.
Exactly. But before we get to the solution, we have to really sit with the problem. We need to understand the scale of this fracture. We need to go back to Munich.
Right, because the mood there was reportedly just bleak.
Very bleak. You have German Chancellor Friedrich Merz standing up. And remember, Germany has been the poster child for the rules-based order.
Absolutely, their whole identity is tied to it.
And he just bluntly declares that the post-World War II order no longer exists.
That is a staggering admission from a European leader. Europe's entire security architecture since 1945 has been built on the assumption that international law matters and that the U.S. will enforce it.
And he's saying that's gone.
Right. For Moose to say it's been replaced by raw great power politics is essentially him saying, look, the police have left the building. We are on our own.
And the U.S. isn't exactly trying to reassure him either. In fact, the rhetoric coming out of Washington seems to confirm Europe's fears. We have U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio calling the UN unfit and obsolete.
Unfit and obsolete. Rubio's comments are really the final nail in the coffin for the old way of doing things. He is arguing that institutions like the UN were built for a world that simply doesn't exist anymore.
He's framing U.S. policy not as destruction, but as renewal.
Right. but a renewal that prioritizes American interests above any sort of international consensus.
And he gave a very specific, very loud example of why he thinks the UN is useless. And I have to say, reading this in the source material really drove home the intensity of the timeline we are living in right now.
You're referring to the Iran situation.
Yeah, exactly. Rubio explicitly cited the recent escalation with Iran. He pointed out that it didn't take a UN resolution to stop their nuclear program. It took, and I'm quoting him directly here, 14 bombs dropped with precision from American B-2 bombers.
14 bombs. That statement is the wrecking ball in action.
It really is.
It's the U.S. saying, we tried diplomacy, the international body failed, so we used kinetic force. It's a return to the idea that might makes right. If you have the B-2s, you make the rules.
Which leaves Europe in a total panic. The source talks about this perceived U.S. disengagement, but honestly, is it disengagement? Because dropping 14 precision bombs sounds pretty engaged to me.
It's selective engagement. That's the difference.
Selective engagement. Expand on that.
Well, the U.S. isn't patrolling the whole world anymore. It is striking where its specific interests are threatened and essentially ignoring the rest. That creates a vacuum.
A massive vacuum.
Exactly. And Europe is suddenly realizing they're being forced into what they call strategic autonomy.
Yeah.
Basically, they had to spend way more on defense because the American security umbrella has holes in it.
Meanwhile, you have Russia pushing territorial boundaries and China expanding its economic dominance. So the order is gone. It's a free-for-all.
And chaos is a ladder, right? That vacuum is exactly where our source, Dr. Al-Rasheed, says the opportunity lies. If the U.S. is stepping back, or at least becoming very selective about where it steps in, the Arab and Islamic region has a chance to step up.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. When people hear Middle East power, they usually think of exactly one thing. Oil. And sure, oil is great, but is it enough to build an entire geopolitical pole on in 2026?
In the 20th century?
Maybe.
Today? No. And that's where the inventory section of this deep dive gets really interesting.
Let's run through that inventory.
Dr. Al-Rasheed lists assets that go way beyond crude oil.
Right, so we still have oil and gas, obviously, which fuels the global economy today. But the source really emphasizes the transition assets.
Yes. Green hydrogen. The region has immense solar resources. We are moving into an era where the Middle East isn't just the gas station for internal combustion engines.
It's the battery charger for the green economy.
Exactly. That is how you future-proof your leverage.
Then there's geography. I think we often overlook this because we look at flat maps and don't think about maritime trade. But the source highlights the choke points.
The choke points are critical.
The Suez Canal, the Bab al-Mandab Strait, the Strait of Hormuz, the Bosphorus.
Think of those as the arteries of the global body. A massive percentage of the world's food, energy, and consumer goods pass through those narrow gates.
Right.
If you control the security of those choke points, you have leverage over Beijing, London, and New York simultaneously. If the Suez closes, the global economy basically has a heart attack.
So it's not just about what you have, it's about where you sit.
Precisely. It's real estate. Then you add the minerals.
Critical minerals.
Essential for the tech sector, which are actually quite abundant in the region. And finally, the demographic piece. This is the one Western economists are probably the most jealous of.
The youth bulge.
Right. While Europe and parts of Asia are dealing with aging populations and shrinking workforces, the Arab world is young. That is a dynamic, digital native workforce. It's a long-term economic engine that Europe just doesn't have right now.
So you combine the energy transition, the strategic location, the critical minerals, and the human capital. Dr. Al-Rasheed calls these the tools for multipolarity.
It shifts the narrative completely. It moves the region from being just a resource hub, a gas station for the world, if you will, to being an influential force that actually shapes the global equilibrium.
But, and there is always a but, you cannot build a power pole on quicksand.
Yeah.
And right now, the region is still dealing with a lot of instability.
This is the obstacle section of our deep dive. You can't ignore the chaos.
No, you can't. And the source brings up a really sharp analysis regarding the ongoing conflict involving Israel. And to be clear, we are just imparting the arguments presented in the source material here.
Yeah, we're looking at how the source frames the regional dynamics.
Exactly. The source references an op-ed by Thomas L. Friedman titled "Netanyahu Plays Trump and American Jews for Fools Again."
It's a critical piece of the puzzle Dr. Al-Rasheed is building. The argument he is highlighting here is about political survival mechanisms.
The premise in the source is that the instability we're seeing, the ravaged Gaza, as the text puts it, the alienated partners, isn't just accidental collateral damage.
No, Friedman argues that for Prime Minister Netanyahu's far-right coalition, Chaos is actually a strategy.
The logic being that if there is peace, there is an election. And if there is an election, the coalition likely falls.
But if there's constant war, high military budgets, and settlement growth, the coalition stays together.
The argument is that the status quo of conflict is profitable for those specific political actors. And the source notes the fallout of that strategy is a surge in global anti-Semitism and a region that just stays on the boil. But here is the contrast the text makes, which is really the crux of the matter.
The contrast with Saudi Arabia.
Right. While one side arguably benefits from chaos, Saudi Arabia's strategy is the exact inverse.
Correct. And this is crucial to understand. For Saudi Arabia, and specifically for Vision 2030, their massive economic transformation plan, chaos, is kryptonite.
You cannot build a global tourism hub or a massive tech center in a war zone.
Exactly. Investors don't put money into burning buildings.
So Saudi Arabia isn't seeking peace just because it's the nice thing to do. They are seeking it because their survival and their future success completely depend on it.
It's an existential necessity. So you have this clash of strategies in the region. One actor who arguably needs conflict to maintain power versus an emerging pole that needs absolute stability to secure its future.
So how do they get that stability? Because just hoping for it hasn't worked.
They are moving from being an observer to a guarantor. Dr. Al-Rasheed calls it initiative-taking engagement.
Initiative-taking engagement. I like that phrase.
It means we are done waiting for the phone to ring. We are done waiting for Washington to sort it out.
Which brings us to the hard power moves. The source details some serious alliance building. And the one that really jumped out at me was the deal with Pakistan.
The Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement.
Signed back in September 2025. This is a game changer that honestly didn't get enough headlines in the West.
It really didn't.
Why is that specific partnership so critical for Riyadh?
Because Pakistan is the only nuclear power in the Islamic world.
Oh, wow. I hadn't connected those dots immediately.
Yeah. By locking in a defense agreement with Al-Mandab, Riyadh is effectively borrowing that deterrence. It sends a very clear message to Tehran, to Tel Aviv, to everyone in the region.
The message being, we have backup.
Serious backup.
It's an insurance policy, a nuclear-backed insurance policy.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's not just Pakistan. They are building what the source describes as a regional triad: Riyadh, Cairo, Ankara.
Egypt and Turkey.
Right. Historically, those relationships have been pretty complicated, haven't they?
Definitely. A lot of friction over the years.
But the wrecking ball era forces pragmatism. If Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey are on the same page, they can stabilize a huge amount of territory.
The source mentions they are already active in places like Sudan and Yemen. But I was really interested in the mention of the Horn of Africa, Somalia and Djibouti.
That connects right back to the choke points we discussed earlier.
The Bab al-Mandab Strait.
Exactly. Djibouti sits right on it. If Somalia falls to chaos or separatists, the Red Sea shipping route is directly threatened.
And Saudi Arabia can't afford that.
No. So they are going in to secure it, countering militias and separatists directly.
It's a very pragmatic, almost aggressive defense of stability. It's saying, we will make this region safe for trade, whether the rest of the world helps us or not.
Because Vision 2030 depends on those shipping lanes remaining open. It's a Saudi-first policy, but in a way that happens to benefit global trade.
Okay, so we've talked about bombs, alliances, and trade routes. That is the hard power. But Dr. Al-Rasheed spends a significant portion of the article talking about something much softer.
Identity.
Yes, identity. He talks about how you can't project power abroad if you are fractured at home. That's the rule.
It's the foundation of everything we've talked about so far.
The article was actually written around Founding Day, marking 299 years since the first Saudi state in 1727. Now, usually I gloss over national holiday descriptions in these kinds of geopolitical reports.
It usually just reads like state PR, right?
Exactly. It's usually just propaganda. But this felt different.
It is different. It's about what the source calls generational fusion.
Generational fusion. The source describes the youth school children, young professionals dressing up in historical costumes in Riyadh. But they aren't just role-playing the past.
No, they are linking the principles of Diriyah directly to the modern goals of Vision 2030.
Think about the psychological shift there. Saudi Arabia is a very young country demographically. By connecting the resilience of the 18th century, the idea that we survived for 300 years against empires, to the economic diversification of the 21st century, they are creating a unified narrative.
It's a story they are telling themselves. We're a nation of builders and survivors.
Exactly.
And that soft power is the glue. If the youth believe in the project has legs. Dr. Al-Rasheed argues that this internal cohesion is what actually allows the state to take these bold foreign policy risks.
You need a confident population to demand a seat at the global head table.
You do. So the argument is that the pole isn't just built on oil and F-15s, it's built on a unified identity.
A nation needs a strong sense of self to navigate a multipolar world. If you don't know who you are, the wrecking ball will just knock you over.
Well said.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. We have a world order that is, by admission of Western leaders, under destruction. The U.S. is recalibrating, using precision strikes rather than broad diplomacy. A vacuum has opened up.
And into that vacuum steps a Saudi-led bloc. They have the resources, energy, minerals, geography. They're building the hard power through alliances with nuclear-armed Pakistan and regional heavyweights like Turkey and Egypt.
And they are anchoring it all in a revamped national identity.
Right.
It sounds like a solid plan. But I want to bring this back to you, the listener. Whether you are in Chicago, Tokyo, or Berlin, why does the emergence of this third pole matter to you personally?
Because we live in a connected system, whether the politicians like it or not. If the wrecking ball swings too hard in the Middle East and there's no one there to catch it, everyone feels the pain.
We're talking about the price of gas at your local station.
The price of gas, the cost of your electronics, the stability of your retirement portfolio. If those choke points close because of regional chaos, the cost of living spikes overnight globally.
So Saudi Arabia's success in creating this stability isn't just some abstract local interest story. It's actually pretty critical for the global economy. We need a stabilizer there.
In a multipolar world, you need all the poles to be strong. If one collapses, the whole tent sags.
Which leads us to the big question. The provocative thought I want to leave everyone with today. The source mentions the need for unified Arab backing.
That is the ultimate variable here.
We see Saudi Arabia moving, we see the vision, but the Arab world has a long, long history of internal division, different agendas, and fragmentation.
They do.
So can they overcome decades of that fragmentation fast enough to beat the wrecking ball? That seems to be the race.
If the rules-based order is truly gone, as Chancellor Merz says, then the Arab world simply doesn't have the luxury of division anymore. They either unify to become a stabilizing force, or the chaos consumes them.
A high-stakes race against time. We will definitely be keeping an eye on how this develops through the rest of 2026. Thank you to our expert for walking us through this geopolitical minefield today.
Always a pleasure to explore the deep end with you.
And thank you for listening to this deep dive. Take that final thought and mull it over. Stay curious, stay aware, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Conclusion. As we conclude this discussion, we return to the vision expressed by Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, a vision rooted in clarity, innovation, and a deep commitment to shaping a more stable and interconnected future. For the full article, you can find the complete details in the description below or visit www.arabnews.com. And if you need its full story about and to learn more about the author, visit www.tfrasheed.org. If this video gave you insight or inspired your thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay curious, and see you in the next video.